Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial and overview of Sniper Elite, the board game. Alright, so here I am getting set up for a solo game of Sniper Elite. I've placed the defenders out on the board, but other than that I actually haven't done anything because I wanted to walk you through it step by step so that you could follow me and then you know what to do yourself. So in a multiplayer version of this game, there are designated spots on the board where the German defenders will go. So the officer will go here, and then two regular soldiers will go on these spots that are color coordinated. However, that's not how it works in solo. In solo, you put a defender, because there's no distinction between officer and not in solo, on each of these numbered objective spots out on the board. So there are 3 yellow objectives. The yellow soldiers will go there. There are 3 objectives in the black sector, so the soldiers with black bases will go on those. And then there are 2 objectives in the red sector, and then 1 neutral one, so the extra red guy will go over here. We're also going to set up a deck of cards that is going to help us run the AI, so I'm going to walk you through that part really quick. I've divided the cards up. Some of them are going to go back to the box, but I just wanted you to get a sense of all the stuff that there was. So first of all, there are 3 sets of solo cards. There will be some that say all locations at the bottom. There will be some that say launch facility, and this is the launch facility, so this is the area we're going to use. And then this one is called the submarine pens, and we will not be using the submarine pens setting. That map is actually on the other side of this board. So all the cards that say submarine pens in that bottom right corner are going to go back to the box. After that, we're not quite done though. We don't just merge these all together right away. There's some other steps we have to follow, so let's go through them one by one. So what the instructions tell us to do next is shuffle the remaining solo cards that are marked urgent together, and then return one of those at random to the box. So some of the cards are going to say urgent right here, and this like kind of thin pencil-y lettering. We're going to find all the cards that do that, shuffle them together, and put one back in the box. So I actually pre-sorted the urgent cards, and these other ones are non-urgent. So we'll shuffle these together. And then the rules say to return one at random to the box. So this one will go. And then it also says to place one of them face down on the rightmost slot of the solo board. This is the solo board, which we're going to be using to run the AI during our sample turns of this game. So we'll put one face down right here. Then it says place 2 more face up in the remaining slots. So as we run the AI, one of the AI cards will always be face down, and the other 2 will be face up. So these are going to be face up cards. So we've still got a couple of urgent cards left, but then according to setup, what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to return 2 of the cards that are not marked urgent, so all these other cards, at random to the box. So we'll randomize these, return to the box, and then we're going to shuffle all the remaining solo cards together, so urgent and non-urgent. And then there should be 9 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. And these are going to make up our defender deck. So our defender deck is like our timer in this game. If it runs out and we still haven't completed an objective, then we lose. So you don't want this to run out before you get your job done. So we're going to pull this down a bit so you can see it a bit better, so I can see it a bit better. And here's our solo board with defender deck. This is going to go in our last known location, but we don't know it yet. So haha, we'll just put that there for now. And now we're going to do the sniper setup. So the first thing we're going to do is shuffle some loadout cards and give ourselves some special powers. So these are the loadout cards. They have a star on the back. You also use these in a multiplayer game, but it's a little different in solo. So slowly shuffle the loadout cards. And then we're going to draw 2. Make sure they're not the same. They're not. So I have a distraction and a trench gun, and we'll look at those in just a moment. All these other ones are just going to go off to the side in case I loot during the game, so these will just go over here for now. Then I'm going to make a health stack, and that's something that doesn't actually exist in the multiplayer game. This is strictly a solo development, so let's make a health stack. So these are all my tokens. I haven't built my bag up yet either, so let's just dump them out and make what we got to make. So I've been told to stack the following tokens one on top of the other. Noise, so this red one with the sound is a noise token. Recoil, so that's when, if you get too many of these on a bag draw, you can misfire and not actually shoot your target. Noise, and then recoil, and recoil. So we've got this little stack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tokens. It goes recoil, recoil, noise, recoil, recoil, noise, and that is our health stack. So I'm just going to put it right over here. And we will unfortunately probably be taking away from that as the game goes by, but I'll explain how that can happen. We're going to take the wound token and put it at full health here. If I've been hit once, you'll only see half red, and then if you get wounded twice, you lose. We'll talk through that again in a bit, but there's a wound token for setup. And then now we're going to load up our shot bag. So when we take shots, we're going to draw tokens from this bag, and we need to have a certain number of hit tokens come out versus noise or recoil in order to succeed at taking the shot. So let's go ahead and load the bag up. So in the bag, we're supposed to put 6 aim tokens. So these are aim tokens. They are good. You want them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We are also supposed to add 3 recoils and 2 noise. So we'll take our 2 noise. So with 6 aim, 3 recoil, 2 noise, our shot bag is full. We'll mix it up. And then all of these are going to be used later. So basically, I might add a noise token for completing an objective or because of some sort of status in the game. Aim tokens you can add when you successfully to kill a defender. These are suppression. They're not used in solo. And the dogs are also not used in solo, but they are in multiplayer. So I've got all these bagged up for now, and we'll just get them when we need them. And then here's the solo die, and I'll be showing you how that works when we take a couple of sample turns. So that's basically all of the pieces set up and ready to go. We're almost ready to start the game. So now we need to figure out what my goals are. I need 2 objectives. So in a game of Sniper Elite, basically the goal is for you as the sniper to destroy 2 objectives before you get wounded twice or run out of time. So if the defenders gang up on you and hit you 2 times, you lose the game. And then you also have a timer to complete each objective. So basically, once I complete the first objective, these will all shuffle back up and I'll reset the timer, essentially. But then when I'm going for that last objective, if I've run out of defender cards and the objective is not complete, then I will lose the game because I'll have run out of time. So you never want to run out of time before an objective gets done. And now I'm going to find out which of the 2 objectives I'm going to need to destroy. So the way we'll do that is we have this deck of cards. There's a separate deck for the other map, but these are only the launch facility cards. So we'll shuffle them up. And the goal is to draw 2 cards that are different suits. So let's see. I've got a 9 and a 4. That's awesome. Okay, so basically the reason they have to be different suits is that the suits correspond to different kind of color sectors. And you can't have 2 objectives in the same color sector. They have to be different spots. So that worked out for me fine this time. I know that I've got objective 9 and objective 4. So let's move our guys around just to be sure of where those are. So objective 4 is right here. Actually, I should just move all these guys over. They're in the right space. So basically, I need to get here and destroy these. And I'm going to make a start at that by showing you a couple of sample turns. All right, so now that we're set up to play, let's go ahead and have a couple of sample turns. So I've chosen my entry point to the board, which is this white entrance space into the white sector. The reason for that is that you can't enter a sector that has an objective that's one of your official target objectives. So I can't come in on yellow, I can't come in on red. I could come in on black, but it just feels less efficient and further away for the 2 objectives that I'm trying to tackle. So this is where I've chosen to come in, and I've put a cube here to indicate that my last known sector is the white sector. So in a multiplayer game, the other players who are hunting you have no idea where you are unless you tell them or reveal yourself. So that's just a mystery they'll have to live with. But when you're dealing with an AI that's not as intelligent as actual humans, you got to give them a little help for some of the AI cards so they know what your last known sector is, even if technically they don't know where you are in it. So we're going to go through one of my turns and then one of theirs, and then we'll do it again just so you get a sense of what the options are. But on my turn, I basically can do up to 3 things. I can move, I can use a loadout card, so I have these 2 loadout cards over here, and I can take an action. So we're going to walk through what all those things are. So for movement, I do have some options for movement. Basically, I can choose to move quietly, so I can move 0 or 1 spaces and not alert anyone. So I'm going to have to move on this turn because your first movement has to be onto the actual board. So if I want to move, I'm probably going to move this 1, but we'll retcon it for now until I take a full turn. If I decide to move 2 or 3 spaces, that means I'm moving more loudly. In the multiplayer game, basically you can do that, but you have to alert enemies who are adjacent to you when you move loudly. However, in this game, the solo game, I can't alert like that. So if I move 2 to 3 spaces, one of two things can happen. If I move 2 to 3 spaces within the sector I'm already in, I'm going to take a hit off of my health stack, which means that this negative token goes into my shot bag and just makes me a little less accurate with my shots, or a little more likely to get into trouble. If I move from one sector to another and I move 2 to 3 spaces, then I don't, according to the rules, have to take a hit, but I do have to update my last known sector. So if I don't want to alert these guys to the fact that I've moved, I maybe don't want to do that. So one of the primary things you're going to be doing on any turn is movement, and you're going to have to decide how stealthily and slowly, or how quickly and riskily you want to do that. A next option that I have is to use a loadout card. These are basically cards that give you a little bit of an extra oomph, and they're one-time use. There is an action I can take to get more of them, though, and we'll talk about that momentarily. So for right now, I have a distraction. It is a rock, and basically what it lets me do is cause a defender to move as long as they're within my line of sight, so I can basically control where they are a little bit. Move them 2 spaces. I also have a trench gun, and what this will let me do is I don't have to draw any shots from the bag. Instead, I reveal my position, although that matters less in this game. And then I get to kill all enemy units who are in my space and on matching or adjacent spaces. I don't get any token rewards in my bag for that, but it's basically a way to clear out a bunch of enemies who have surrounded me and are making it hard for me to escape. And then there are just my standard actions. So the actions you can take in this game are shoot, loot, and complete an objective. Complete an objective is the easiest one. I get on this space, I take a complete the objective action, and that's my action for the turn. I can move before or after, but on turns where you complete the objective, you can't also shoot or loot. So be sure that you are ready to complete that objective and get out of dodge. Looting happens on objective spots that aren't your current target objectives, so on 4 and 9, I would take a complete the objective action. But if I go into any of these other objective spaces during this game, I can loot. And basically what that means is I get to pull another loadout card from the deck and then have another cool power or resource to use during the game. And then the one you're primarily going to do most of the time is shoot. So shooting in this game involves your shot bag and calculating your line of sight. Fortunately, none of the rules are too crazy, so I'm just going to give you a quick overview. So first we'll talk about who you can shoot. Basically, if someone is in your line of sight, that means that you can draw a line from the corner of the space that you're in to any corner of the space that they're in. So if I'm in this space, this person is absolutely within my line of sight, and I would certainly be able to shoot them. And actually, this guy would also technically be within my line of sight, even though he's inside. And it's actually the rules for that are a little bit more complicated. So essentially, you can assume that there's an open window on the outsides of all these buildings. So you can shoot from the outside into one indoor space. However, things start to get complicated when somebody's further into a building, because you can't shoot through multiple indoor spaces. So this guy here is vulnerable, but if he's here, he actually cannot be shot from the outside because you can't shoot from here into a building and then into an internal room. So essentially, you can assume there's windows on the outside and make one shot into an indoor space, but if you're shooting from outside, all these internal spaces are safe. Basically, if there is an inside space between you and your target, then you can't shoot them from the outside. Once you're inside, everything is fair game for everyone. And basically everyone inside can shoot everybody else who's inside the same building. So once you've established whether there is line of sight, then you also have to declare how many tokens you're going to draw for the shot and then see if you hit. So for example, if I wanted to hit this guy, I'm going to need to pull at least 3 success tokens from my bag. So 1, 2, 3. You're going to need a shot for each of the spaces between you and then the space that the target's actually in. If we were in the same space for one reason or another, then I would also still have to have 1 aim token from the bag in order to shoot him successfully. So in this case, it'd be 1, 2, 3. And then if I wanted to shoot him, I wouldn't necessarily want to pull 3 tokens from the bag because we know that there's different types of tokens in here. They're not all aim tokens. There are also some recoil tokens and some noise tokens. So what I'm going to have to do is decide what I'm willing to risk. One of the reasons you don't want to pull too many tokens from the bag is that if you pull 5 combined recoil and noise tokens, then you're going to misfire. And so you can also mess up your shot by pulling too many tokens from the bag that don't help you instead of the ones that do. So if I wanted to shoot this guy It would be risky to say I only wanted to pull 3 tokens. I would at least want to try to pull 4, maybe 5. So just as a sample, if I was going to shoot him, I might say that I wanted to pull, let's say I want to pull 4 tokens because this is just a sample anyway. All right, so this would be a misfire. I would not actually hit this guy because I only have 2 aim tokens and I needed 3 in order to actually shoot him. However, I also didn't make any noise, so nothing would have happened to me on my turn. In the solo version of this game, when you pull noise tokens, the defender who's closest to you, who isn't your target, hears you and moves a space on the board towards you. In the multiplayer game, things are different. It's just that if you pull 2 noise tokens, you have to reveal where you are on the board. So the solo game tries to mimic that a little bit by having defenders approach you when they hear noise. If you successfully shoot someone, you do get a reward. Basically, you can either get another aim token to add to your bag, so you basically improve your chances of getting a hit, or if you've had some loss to your health stack here and you've put some of these negative tokens into your shot bag, you can essentially recover your health and put off the chances of you getting a wound by pulling some of these out of the bag and putting them back in the health stack. Specifically, you can pull out 1 noise token or 2 of the recoil tokens, but there are limits. So there can only be 4 of these recoil tokens in the stack at any time, and there can only ever be 2 noise tokens. So be careful about how you decide to recover your HP. There are rules about that. So those are the basics of our turn, and let's just go ahead and take a turn. The thing is that most of your turns are going to be a little bit slow, especially at first, because you don't want to just declare that you're there right away and go crazy. So maybe my first turn is that I only just come onto the board like this, just a quiet entry onto the board. So that's my move. If I moved more, then I might alert someone or take a hit, and I don't actually want to do that. I want them to think that I'm here in this white sector and then maybe take a run down here to objective number 9. So I don't want to tip them off right away yet. I can already see that on an enemy turn, they're going to deploy, and I'd rather them think I'm in white for as long as possible, deploy there, instead of come to red where I actually want to be. Alternatively, it's actually a pretty quick run over here to objective 4. So I might choose to do that instead, depending on how the AI plays out. Now I can also decide, do I want to take an action? Maybe I do, just for fun. You know what? Why not? Let's go ahead and actually try to shoot this guy. So I know that I need 3 success tokens to do it. Let's say that I'm going to pull 5 tokens from the bag to try to minimize my risk. All right, so here's what I've got. We have 1 misfire, okay, 1 hit, 2 hits. All right, so this worked out. So I didn't actually make any noise either, which is really good. I did get my 3, so 1, 2, 3. This guy comes off the board. These tokens go back in the bag. I don't have any health to recover at this time, so I'm just going to take an aim token and put it in the bag to make my shots a little more accurate. Also, moving this guy from here reminded me of something, which is that this is considered difficult terrain. So essentially it costs me more move to move in, but it doesn't affect my noise. So it costs me 2 move points out of a potential 3 to move into a space like this, but it also doesn't actually generate any extra noise. It's not like 2 and noisy. It just costs 2 and I can't move any further. And the same thing actually applies to defenders. They also have a hard time moving into difficult terrain. So I've taken my turn. I came in on the board. I shot someone. That's pretty successful, I'd say. So now it is the defender turn, and I'm going to show you how that works. So over here we have these solo cards, and we have 1, 2, and 3 chevrons on these card spaces. Basically, the 1 is the most likely thing to happen. 2 is second most, and then 3 is third most, just based on the odds on the die faces. But anything can happen, and we're just going to see. So I'm going to roll this die. Okay. So we got 1 chevron for guard all entries. So for each possible objective, we're going to deploy the defender closest to it to the closest unguarded open access space. That basically means a door or an elevated area. So on this particular map, my defenders are just going to move to all the doors. If the objective is on an unguarded open space, then deploy the defender there instead. I'm going to repeat this process until all defenders have deployed, except those already on open access spaces and those excluded by the deploy rule. So basically the deploy rule is that if somebody's in the last known sector with you and following the card would move them further away from you, you don't do it. Also, there are little points of ambiguity in here where you get to choose where a guard will move. You're supposed to follow what's called the snafu rule, where the worst thing possible for you is what's going to happen. For each possible objective, I'm just going to go in order, which is what you're supposed to do. So here in space 1, he's already on an open access space. Basically, open access means an entry to or an exit from from a building, from an elevated space. Basically a place where you change locations. For 2, there's not really anybody to deploy here. I mean, I could put somebody here on this open access space, but I would have to take a guard from somewhere else. I guess what I would do is you're supposed to deploy the defender closest to that one. So I think that's this guy. So he would come here and he's going to stand at the door. That makes him adjacent to me, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. So that's a little scary, but nothing scary is happening just yet. So this guy will come up here and watch this door. Basically, I'm going closest to the objective. This is the open access space closest to there. So I'm assuming that's where he'll go. For 3, this guy's on the access space. For 4, this guy will go here. For 5, I guess what'll happen is I'll just put someone here to a close open access space, because this is the most annoying spot for me to have someone. Basically, you have to use your judgment in some of these situations. It's not always 100% clear exactly who should move where. You just have to have a sense of how the game works and do what's going to be inconvenient for you. Having to go through these guys is not convenient for me. So that's what I'm going to assume is going to happen. And I'm not going to move somebody off of objective 9 because that would actually be convenient for me and therefore not the intention of the game. So we'll put this guy here. This guy's on an access space, and we'll put this guy here since I would love to come down here and slip through this door. So I'm making the game a little tough on myself, but that's what you're supposed to do. So everybody has been deployed. So I'm going to say that we're set on that. So this is going to go into our little discard. These 2 cards are going to slide over. And then since this one's face down, our next defender card is going to be face up. So we know how that's going to work. Oh, and one more thing happens at the end of the defense turn after you resolve the card. Anyone who was shot last turn returns to the board, and they come to the cross space that matches their color. So this red guy is back and ready to be in action again. So now it's my turn, and I need to decide what my move and what my action are going to be. So I think I'm only 1 away from this guy, so I might try to shoot him, and then I want to maybe take 1 move down here. I don't really want to change my sector because I just know that some guys are going to deploy to it, but I have to do what I have to do. And also just moving 1 down does give me the option of slipping back this way and coming towards 4 instead. So that might actually work out fine. I think what I'm going to do is shoot this guy. So let's just go ahead and say that I'm going to draw, let's draw 3. That seems good. All right, so I've got 3 tokens in my hand, and let's see what they are. All right, so I will kill him. I did draw 2 hit tokens, but I also drew a noise. So this will give me a chance to show you what that does. So for the hits, this guy comes off the board. I still haven't lost any health. I haven't taken any hits yet. So another aim token is going to go in my bag. These will go back in. So will this noise one, but let's resolve it first. Basically, I made a little noise when I made that shot. Somebody heard something. What was that? Was it the wind? So this guy is going to come out 1 space closer to me because he heard the noise. So fortunately, I can still move because now I have to. One of the tricks of taking hits in this game is that if at the end of your turn, a defender is adjacent to you or in the same space as you, you take a hit. And I don't want to take a hit. I would rather preserve my health stack for later when I really need it. So I'm just going to slink 1 down this way. So now no one is adjacent to me, and I'm just going to try to creep down the side of the board. Now that's the end of my turn. I did an action, I moved, and I don't want to use my loadout cards just yet. So let's roll for the defenders and see what they're going to do this time. All right, so once again, I had Chevron 1. That is the most likely. So now, unfortunately, I have to update my LKS, my last known sector. So I'm in red, and they know it. Bummer. Then I deploy all defenders from squads not matching the last known sector, so basically non-red defenders, to these spaces. So I'm actually very lucky, because also you take a hit if a defender teleports into a space that you're in as a result of a deployment. But this guy's going to teleport here, not here, so whew, relief. One of the other guys with a black base is going to come here. And then another one is going to come here. And then I'm going to have a yellow guard here. And then another one here. So basically I've just moved a bunch of guys. Actually though, because snafu rule, this is the objective I want the most, so I'll move this guy instead. Because I do have a choice about that. Oh wait, no I don't. Everybody's moving. Okay, so these guys are all in here. Everybody's swarmed my last known sector. So that's pretty brutal, but it's actually not the worst. And I'll be able to show you why shortly. So, at the end of their turn, I don't take a hit from adjacency, but I need to get away from this guy for my next turn. So that's something I need to focus on. But that's the end of their deployment. And now, we're going to have some more potential deployments. Ruh-roh. Alright, but it is my turn again. This guy is going to come back onto the board. There's already somebody here, so he'll just show up in an adjacent space. So, the reds are back, but they're not doing anything just yet. Alright, so once again, it's my turn. I think we'll take another couple samples, just because I want to make sure you have a good sense of the game, and then we'll stop. But I think what I'd like to do this time is go ahead and shoot this dude, since I only need to get one hit. I'm just going to draw 2 tokens and hope for the best, because I think my odds are good. And they were. So I got 1 aim token and 1 recoil. So, boom. He died. Hooray. And I didn't make any noise either. So this guy comes off the board. I had another aim token in my shot bag, which means that my odds of hits are getting better. And then, okay, so now I have a choice. I can try to move back up into this sector and then move towards objective 4, or I can stay here for a bit because I'm banking. This might be a deployment card as well. A lot of the urgent ones are. And we'll just kind of see like what the enemy does. Because if I can waste their time in red a little longer, I've got time. I'm pretty close to my objectives. So I can make some decisions about how I want to treat that. So I think what I may do is decide that instead of coming down here, now that they're all down here, I might make a break for yellow instead, but I don't want to leave red just yet. So I'm going to move here. That's my move, and that'll end my turn. And then we'll roll for the defenders. All right, so this time we got 2 chevrons. Retreat. For each possible objective, move the closest defender from the matching squad 3 spaces closer. If the defender was already on the objective, they're going to search instead, and any defender can match the neutral sector for this movement. So basically what's going to happen is that for each of these objectives, somebody from the correct color sector is going to move 3 spaces towards the objective. So for objective 1, this guy's going to go 1, 2, 3. And then for objective 2, what will the snafu rule say? Let's say that this guy's going to get in my way. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. So now he's blocking the route I wanted to take, but I could probably also pop my head around the corner and attempt to shoot him. We'll see how it goes. For objective number 3, let's just say that this guy's going to go 1, 2, 3. So he's moving out towards his objective. And then for 4, this guy will start to move up towards his objective. For 5, this guy will just reach it. For 6, let's say that this guy just goes 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And then for 7, we'll say 1, 2, 3. And then for 8, he's dead, so he won't move. And then for 9, this guy will go here. So basically, the guards have spent some time covering their objectives, but they're not totally sure where I am. So this will come off the board. I need to make some moves soon, though, because I don't want to just fart around forever. All right, so we could have another little deployment, or we might have an ambush where they all go to the doors again, near objectives. And I want to make a run for this door, so I'd really prefer that not happen. Although if it happens now and then they deploy away again later, it's not so bad. So let's just take one more sample turn as I approach my objective. I'm going to try to shoot this guy. Let's say that I want to... So this would be... Yeah, because basically he's in my line of sight because this corner and this corner have sight between them. And I can imagine that he's like patrolling back and forth, and I just wait and try to pop him off. So I need 2 aim tokens to hit him. Let's draw 4 tokens and just hope for the best. All right, so it's good that I've got all these aim tokens in here because, once again, I just lucked out. I drew 2 recoils, but I also hit twice. So this guy is gone. Also, this guy should have redeployed at the end of that last turn, so I'll put him here. And I get yet another aim token. So as you can see, all these early kills are really building the shot bag up and improving my odds of success. And then I'm going to move. And I could move a second one, but I don't really want to. I just want to move one. Or actually, I could decide I don't care. Basically, I could take a risk. So if I get 2, these guys will move around me, but then I can just slip into the next sector away from them. So I'm actually going to move 2. And I don't have to take a hit because I switched sectors. So I'll just update my last known sector to white. And hope that nobody jumps in here with me. But one thing I like to do when I'm playing solo in this game is manipulate what sector I'm in to kind of help keep the deployments in my favor instead of theirs. And then we'll do one more turn of theirs and kind of see if that worked. All right, so we got a 3 this time. So now for each possible objective, we're going to deploy the defender closest to it to the closest unguarded, non-open access space. All right, so basically I just moved everybody to the nearest door that seemed like a good door to put them at. And yeah, that's basically how this game works. This would go in discard, and then I'd reveal yet another card. And so I think this probably gives you a fairly good idea of the flow of this game and how it works. Basically, I've just been moving and shooting, but I could do a complete objective action in that space, or I could come to a space like this one and take a loot action, and those are even simpler than shooting because you don't have to do anything with the drawback for that. So hopefully this gives you a good overview of the flow of the Sniper Elite solo mode. I've also got a review of this game out this week, so you can go check that out if you want to see my full thoughts on how well this mode works and how I think it compares to the multiplayer game. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you appreciated this video. And even better, if you're feeling extra generous, you can support me on Patreon, where I would be very, very grateful for the help. Thank you so much for watching, and most of all, happy gaming.